Hi, this is another edition of our professional integration series from JML Audio of St. Louis. This is a 2017 Can-Am Maverick X3, one of our out-of-state clients brought to us. Let me go over the different enhancements with you. We'll start on the front of the vehicle itself. You're going to see we got rid of the traditional plastic bumper in here, did a high-performance steel bumper. We added a winch under the front of it, which is a 4,500 pound winch. We also added a forward camera as well, which shows when you're climbing and such for rocks and such in front of you. We also added the high performance quad lights. This is a special Black Series Edition lights for fogs. And then we also did the LED 30-inch bar across the front. I'm going to turn on the fog lights for you for 1 second. We did a custom switch for those. The fog lights themselves, you'll see, definitely give you plenty of visibility whenever we're doing any sort of night driving. Or if you're riding in the daytime, to be sure people see you from a distance away. We'll go on the back of the vehicle itself. Show you a few things we did back here. A big complaint with these all the time is that the visibility is very poor when you go in reverse, because I'm about 6'3", and even when you sit in the driver's position, everything is really tall behind you. So what we did was added a backup camera. There was a custom mount here for the backup camera, which we flushed in. Now this backup camera right here does have distance guidelines. That way when the client goes in reverse, he can actually see how far it is before he would run into another object. Another limitation of it is there isn't any sort of reverse lights or anything to see at night. So we added the pocket tuck custom lights off to here. So what happens is when we put the vehicle in reverse, it automatically activates the reverse camera into our system, and it automatically activates the rear view lights here. There's no extra switches or buttons or anything he has to do. Let me go and activate those for you right now so you can see them. So basically all I'm doing is putting the car into reverse. And as soon as the car is in the reverse function, you will see the backup lights come on here, as well as the reverse camera, which is flush into here. So if you go on the back of the vehicle itself, you will see the camera itself as well as the lights come automatically. There's nothing you have to hit as far as buttons to go for the system to go through properly. We try and make it as intuitive as possible. That way it's a little bit more work for us on the wiring, but it's a lot easier for you to actually use the vehicle on a daily basis. We did do some fiberglass can lights back here. That way it gives you a lot of ambient sound when you're driving the side-by-side itself. We also added another set of speakers down on each quadrant that we did pod mounts on here. So what these lights, or what these speakers allow us to do, is work in stereo with the speakers behind. So you basically have a tweeter on the flowing bridge along with the dome mid bass. You'll see they're lit up right now blue, which we do have a custom controller for that. And what that custom controller allows us to do is select it in any color pattern we want, if we want to do different modes and textures. So for instance, we would basically have a fading mode, or if we want to do a sweeping mode or a strobing, it would basically go through and change depending on what we want to basically capture. A couple things to note: a lot of times if you have an issue and you need to winch yourself out, we did a custom button here, a switch for the winch control. But if you're outside the actual vehicle and you need to do that, what we do is flush right in here, our own winch control. And then when we actually plug in, this is about a 12-foot tether. So this allows the owner, the vehicle, to simply plug in, and then he can be far away from it. So if he needs to winch himself out, he doesn't have to be inside the vehicle or plugging in the glove box or doing something kind of unintuitively. A couple other things we wanted to do to tie in to make it really fun for his enjoyment. We did. There are custom molded subwoofer enclosures. There's one under each seat. There is a 10-inch high performance shallow subwoofer. One is under here. The other one is under the passenger seat on the rear. So there's basically 2 subwoofers, 4 tweeters, and 4 mid-range drivers. There's 2 amplifiers in this car. We actually used a dedicated monoblock amplifier, as well as an 8-channel amplifier bridged down to 4. So we're actually using 9 channels, which is actually doing 5 channels of output. So we have about 800 watts total. Now, in place of the factory battery, which sits behind the passenger seat, we did a high-performance cell with a custom steel rack on there. We also did amplifier racks pocket tucked in here, and then we also did some power distribution that we stacked down into here. If you go around the passenger side for a moment, I'll show you a few other things. In the side-by-side itself, we wanted to be sure everything appeared like it came from Can-Am, there wasn't anything added. The big problem is when you get a lot of these buttons and switches, they look different for accessories. So we actually sourced the exact switches with the same texture, so everything appears like it came from Can-Am. The other thing you run into is these come in different illuminations. Some are blue, some are white, some are red. We want everything to be symmetrical. So what we did was we got custom LEDs and we modified all the switches so that all the color is exactly the same. So it all looks like it came from the factory. This controller here is in place of the basically arms that are here. This allows us to flush in. So again, you'll see automatically when I go in reverse, it automatically toggles behind you, and then when you go out of drive or when you go back into drive, it will basically go back into the last source. Here's an example. If we want to see the forward camera itself, you simply hit one button and that allows us to forward camera through so we can see the image in front of the vehicle itself. We also added satellite radio. We wanted to be sure everything was very stealth for the end user. So what we did for his satellite radio is the antenna is actually hidden under here. So he has full AM, FM, weather band, as well as satellite radio. He does have a plug-in if you're using an iPod or iPhone or Android. Right in here in the glove box, we flushed in this USB flush plug, which has a waterproof cap to it. And what that allows him to do is he can plug in real time and he can control things like music off his iPhone, or if you do Pandora control or Deezer or any of the high resolution audio streaming sources. Lastly, there is also a plug that what we did was behind this seat. It allows him to plug into a dedicated power supply, that way he can charge it. We want to be sure that everything we do, especially in these applications, which are a lot more rigid and rougher than a traditional car, they can handle the water, they can handle the moisture. If you have any questions about side-by-sides, trucks, or anything else we can help you out with, feel free to reach out to us directly. Our website is jmlaudio.com, and our email is info@jmlaudio.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.